All right. Well, I guess I'll get started here. This is the first time I'm seeing these slides, so bear with me. Okay, so our meeting today, we'll be talking about the latest update for Monterey, or should I say, well, it's probably not the last update, but the last major update. Of course, macOS Ventura. We'll touch on items of interest. We'll also touch on any upcoming conferences, which I'm guessing at this point, probably all for next year. And then we'll have our open discussion with recording off so we can talk about any NDA stuff, which I don't know if there's anything specifically NDA we can talk about these days. Now that Ventura and iOS 16 are officially out. I get it. So this is going to be a theme apparently in all the slides. This past week we saw Mac OS Monterey drop 12.6.1. The big thing about 12.6.1 is it fixes an issue that we saw in the betas, where if you had a deferral for major updates, upgrades set in your MDM, versions prior of Monterey prior to 12, I think it's post 12.3 and prior to 12.6.1 would not honor that deferral.
Hey, Serge, if you next slide, we'll cover some of that too, just for people if they need it.
Okay, so we'll get to that. Do you want to take over now, Jair, or?
Sure. Sorry for being late, everybody. Kind of had to pick up the children at doggy day camp, and it took forever to get back because Roosevelt Boulevard sucks. So give me one moment.
Sure.
I have no idea why Zoom is being very difficult for me today. It wouldn't even let me launch it without updating it, and now it won't let me do anything but that. Okay.
Well,
anyway.
What was it? Whatever version we're on currently is like, was it 4.12.3 or 5.12.3? Fixes like every other version before that. Now they found another CVE this past week, so you should be on 5.12.3 if you're not.
Yeah, it wouldn't update for me, so I had to manually update it. All right. Anyway, so let me update Keynote now. Of course, it wants me to update Keynote now too. Wow, thanks, macOS.
Do you want me just to do the slides and just tell me?
Yes, please. So yeah, if you click ahead, just to show this full slide. So there's a few things in here. So there's a link for release notes and enterprise release notes, but it fixed a enforced software update major OS deferral delay bug. More on that in a minute, but basically Ventura is going to show as a minor update, but it will be silenced for 30 days for supervised Macs. But because of the enforced software update major OS deferral delay bug, next slide, please. There's a whole thing that was posted in Slack. Since there's no longer NDA, we can share this. There is a deferral bug, and this is the nutshell that we'll call it. So if you're on macOS 12.2 or earlier, you're good. You're not affected. So great. You didn't update your Macs, and you're not affected by this bug. That's fine. The advantage of not updating your systems. But 12.3 or later, there is a bug that is fixed in 12.6.1, but at this time, when this was created, 12.6.1 was not out yet. So there was an issue where if you have that flag set, it would not respect it. macOS would not respect the flag that was set. So the only way around it would be to either block major and minor updates or to update to 12.6.1, but Apple made a little concession. And now after 30 days, or for 30 days, the Ventura update will not be advertised as a quote minor update on macOS 12.6 or 12.6 or between 12.6 and 12.3. My goodness, it's very confusing. So you would still need admin to install it once before that 30 days is up. After the 30 days, it's going to then show up in your software update, and non-admins will be able to install it. So if you're not ready for it, make sure you do that. I see a hand raised.
Yeah, there's one qualification here. It is not after 30 days. It is the next OS release after 30 days. So the next macOS Ventura release after November 23rd will appear as a Delta update for macOS 12.3 through 12.6 if you have a major version update block policy applied, because the operating system in 12.3 through 12.6 will see Delta updates to a new major version of the operating system in those circumstances. So it is way more confusing.
Yes.
This is not straightforward, but I think the best possible advice is what we get in these last couple bullets. So I'll let you keep reading.
Yeah. So if you don't have 12.6.1 installed, if you don't get it installed after 30 days, it might appear. Now, if you're past 30 days not on 12.6.1, you need to add the major and minor block in there if you need to hold that off. But you really between now or between Monday, this past Monday and 30 days from Monday, get your fleet up to 12.6.1 if you need to defer. That is the best advice I can give, and that's honestly what we're doing. My org is ready for it, but we still want to control that. We want to make sure that it's ready to go out for everybody. So if you're not on 12.6.1, do that within the next 30 days, starting from Monday, starting from the 24th. Very important, very confusing, but very important. And they fixed it in a very Apple-y way, which good and bad, I guess. So next slide, please. So we talked about Monterey, now Ventura. And yes, all the hats. I'm sorry, you didn't see that yet, Serge, until I made those changes in the 11th hour. So Ventura was released Monday, 10/24. You can just make the whole slide. I didn't actually know the slide had animations, so I apologize.
Ooh.
I didn't know, yeah. So as I mentioned, non-admins will be installed as a normal software update unless deferred. That is after the grace period, and that's with the Delta updates that will be coming out, which this is actually a really good change. I think I like this idea. I just but if the major software update deferral worked from the start, I'd be much happier. But for future OSs, I think this is a great feature. I'm very happy that it's in, and I'm sure other admins are too. I believe it was 66 CVEs patched, and there are some enterprise release notes that everybody should read, and more on that in the next slide. So these are some of the enterprise highlights that I thought would be really interesting. Declarative device management, big thumbs up. Make sure your MDM provider supports this. Network required for setup assistant. Note there's an asterisk. It has to be on basically, what is it, the second time that's in use. It's not fresh out of the box. It's after it's been set up. It will now, if you have it, if it's in DEP basically, or if it's in Apple Business Manager or whatever, it will now require network for setup assistant. Again, 2 thumbs up. This is a great feature. I think everybody agrees with this one. Platform SSO, another great feature that people have been wanting. We need to press all of our vendors to make sure that they do support this. So this is another wonderful thing that I can't wait to see what comes out of it. New system settings interface. So system preferences is dead, system preferences is dead. Long live system settings. So if you're not used to it, you should get used to it. There is a great, I believe it was Zucup shared a nice little Google sheet that has a whole bunch of where the heck did they move it to. So if you're looking for something, he gives a little path, or they give a little path for where it should be. It's also on the there's an Ars Technica the Ars Technica review of Ventura has the same thing, really useful. So if you don't have your KBAs updated, make sure you update your KBs. And rapid security response. This is awesome, right? Install security updates without having to reboot, but also in the background and just automatically do it. Yes, please. I don't know the exact details and minutia of this. If somebody does, I'm sure we can go into it in our open discussion, but this is all good stuff. My guess is this is more for like patching things like 0 days in Safari and plugins, because if you look at how it's broken down with the cryptic folders, you'll be able to see some of the things that can actually be patched in there. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah, much more. Well, items of interest. There's a bunch in here actually because of the different releases. So Monkey 6.0 was released, which I believe 6.01 was also released. So that's a big update. The macOS security compliance was released for Ventura and with revisions for Monterey and Big Sur. I'm going to add a little plug for myself. I am listed now as an author on the macOS security compliance project, and I will be as well on the CIS benchmark. So all of you can start cursing me when you're in securing your frameworks now. So you're welcome.
I'm just going to tell my security folks to talk to you.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm like 4th on the list or something like that. So you probably want to reach out to Alan Golbig first, who we had previously joined up on here. Swift Dialog 2 Preview 2 has been released. So if you're not using or Swift Dialog, look into it. It's great. It's really, really awesome. It is the unofficial successor to Cocoa Dialog, but it's also just a much better version of something like Jamf Helper. Love it. Lots of cool tools out there. If you're interested in some really cool Jamf stuff, Dan Snelson does a lot of great things with Swift Dialog. Aftermath. This is a tool that was released by Jamf. It is technically MDM agnostic. It's just a tool for incident response. It's a framework for if you need to do some IR on your devices. Really cool little thing to check out. You might want to, click on that link and get it. There is some Apple documentation that was updated regarding security updates. Basically, the long story short on here is Apple finally acknowledges that they may not patch previous OSs based on reasons, right? The reasons might be that the architecture doesn't allow for it, or that it's just something that they're not going to patch. So that link will take you to a knowledge base article for that. And then I think there's one more there, added at the last minute, Apple security research page. Take a look at that. It's kind of nifty. It's basically, if I recall, it is, so I didn't get a chance to look too much into this. So is there anybody here that knows more about it than I do right now that wants to just comment on it?
I don't know the details. I know that they've updated their bug bounty program, which is part of this security site. And there's also a blog listed where they'll talk about different security things that they have done. Like the first one is about XNU, and it's completely over my head. So
yeah. This is still this is great stuff coming from Apple. I'm very happy to see this stuff. Apple getting into security, posting information about security, rewarding people for leave the cord alone, cat. Rewarding people for finding bugs. Obviously, I mean they've done this, but this is just more of a full page in your face. This is what we do. Yeah. Next slide. Well, we're at the end of the year, right? No conferences, but that went through. JNUC 2023 has been announced in Texas. I will probably say something off recording regarding this. And PSU Mac Admins 2023 has announced they will be in person. So hopefully we see everybody there. Well, we usually have a pretty good contingent from Philly there. I know that Philly and Pittsburgh, I think is it Philly? Is it Pittsburgh? That we usually have like a little butt heads there about how many people we get. It's not Pittsburgh.
That's all started by Pittsburgh. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So either way, hopefully we have a good showing there. Hopefully it still continues to be in person because I miss seeing everybody's faces. I see everybody's faces, but I miss seeing everybody in person, and I'm sure everybody else does too.
Yeah. And I think at some point we'll look to resume in person at some point here.
Yes. I think the idea is so we get a lot of people on these virtual ones, which that's nothing new. We've always gotten more people virtually because it's easier to come virtually. But what we might do in person, I think we should talk about this, is maybe we'll want to do instead of just streaming it, maybe we should do a Zoom in person. Hey, I don't know, but we definitely want to see if we could get back in person. Because again, miss seeing everybody.
Yeah. It sounds like the Walnut Street Apple Store is no longer doing any sort of hosting in their conference room. So
correct.
We'll have to find another location. Although I think one of the things we were banding around was, perhaps doing like the Zoom stuff for anything that's really technical or doing presentations or anything, and having in person where we just hang out.
So we have at Rutgers, we have a meeting room we could use if we wanted to. And the City Hall Patco station is right at our building. So
Ooh,
it'd be really
all right.
convenient for people that can get the Patco. And it's right at, right across the bridge. But we got a nice room that could be used.
Great. Yeah.
You might have to try
That would
out.
be great. I mean, we always look for places that we always want to, we did one at SJU once, right? Was and it turned out pretty good. So yeah, I think that's great. I mean, this is something that we'll all have to discuss and throw around a bit, see what sticks to the wall, I guess. But definitely want to get back to some in person, at least on some semblance of like we did in the before times, where maybe every other month we meet up at we did yards, obviously that was a great location, but other places, or to just yak at each other, and then like we said, maybe do the technicals online, but maybe we'll do both.
Yep.
And I think the next slide is the open discussion. So this is where we usually stop recording. But I will say, because there was a lot of information here, is there anybody want to chat about anything that was in the presentation before we just go into the open discussion? Save it for non-recording.
Has anybody seen any problems with the Ventura upgrade that they want to talk about?
The upgrade in
there's-
general?
There's an issue if you are upgrading a system that is not MDM managed that happens to use something with the enterprise security framework. So, anything that requires a system extension may not run as you expect it to after the Ventura update. So make sure to manage your stuff. And
That's
you'll be fine.
that's for the new system policy. thing.
Yes,
That's like
that's right.
not full disk access, but it's like a step below.
System policy, all bundle or app bundles, is that right?
It's system policy app bundles. I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a couple of threads on Patrick Wardle's Twitter about security tools running into problems upgrading from Monterey to Ventura.
Right.
Apple has acknowledged the problem, apparently.
Yeah, I think what was supposed to happen is it's supposed to add the things. I don't know what I think what they would is that the system policy app bundle is basically in place for things to update applications, and I think for the security framework, it expects it to be there in Ventura, and if it's not, it messes it up. Like if you give full disk access, it's supposed to be included, but for some reason it's not recognizing that it has full disk access and still wants the system policy app bundle to be included. So yes, definitely a bug because full disk access should include that, but it's not recognizing it as that as being included. So at least that's my understanding of the problem.
And we also have issues using the command line, using the start OS install to upgrade, or in my case was upgrade. It kept giving me errors.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're using erase install
Right.
for our deployment, and my colleague was running it, and he said it hung for him for like 40 minutes, and then it didn't fail, it just hung. And if you go into the erase install Slack channel, actually there is a note about somebody mentioned that they've had a couple reports about that happening.
That's Q's solution, right?
Right, and he said that he has had like 3 or 4 people already comment that yes, he's seen it hang a few times already. My colleague saw the same thing, it just hung at around 60%, didn't do anything, and then he tried it again and it worked fine. So I'm not sure what the problem is there, if it's what is going on with that, but something's definitely not right.
Yeah, because I usually when I like to build a new machine with it and everything, and there goes that idea. So
well,
but
I mean,
changes, that never happens.
Yeah, I mean, I've been since the first beta. I've been messing with it. It's been, I think the most annoying thing is where do I find things these days?
That's well, at least the search is good. Like you could search for the the system settings like very
Yeah.
easily now, which I like.
Yes.
That's all I do that too, because I don't like having to go through the menus and be like, where the heck is this thing?
One
Yeah,
of
so-
the things that popped up for us that I heard about is apparently our Wi-Fi folks have been testing it out since it came out. Apparently, there's no way in system settings for you to manually reorder Wi-Fi networks.
Oh,
Correct.
who could possibly want that?
Yeah, you can't do that and in the UI, but no wait, can you do it in? Oh no, you can set network locations via the CLI, but you can't set it in
Right.
the UI.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
now I'm trying to recall somebody at Apple mentioned that the way that it works is like it will check which type of network it should join first by doing like evaluation of like what type of security, what type, all different types of things. But it's like, great, but what happens when it doesn't work? Because things just don't work sometimes. So
Early on in the betas, I could only get Ethernet to work, which is odd. And then later on, Wi-Fi came back, and now both of them work. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's something. I think I'll be opening a case about that tomorrow. I think my compatriots over at NBCU and Sky have already opened a case, so I'm going to try and link them all together so we can present a united front. But once I get those case numbers and feedbacks, I'll
yeah, you
probably
should share
post them
that.
to the appropriate channels. So
Yep. It's not a bad idea. You might just get the classic, it's working as designed. It's like, yes, that's why we're complaining. It's a
Yeah,
bad
who knows?
design.
yeah, because who wants to specify which networks you join?
Not a bug, it's a security feature.
Yeah.
And it's
I'd
not
be
like you
curious.
already have to click 6 levels deep in some of the, the screens, to get through
Yeah.
all these single item lists.
Even like finding the IP address early on was a pain in the butt. Like,
Oh,
like I had to navigate like 3 different systems. Like, come on, I
So-
need to be able to click the least amount of clicks to get the information I want. Yeah,
That wouldn't, I've had that problem because earlier this week on just my own system, I was not getting an IP address over DHCP on any of the network interfaces. And it seems to have gone away today, but it was happening every morning for this week before that.
yeah.
And so I was like, release, renew and stuff like that.
One of the new things in Ventura now is that you have a USB prompts to allow USB accessories.
Yep.
So an unintended consequence of that is folks with docks may lose the Ethernet port from that, where the USB Ethernet port from that. So, I mean, that happened to me when I upgraded. It didn't automatically recognize the USB Ethernet. I had to re-add it back in. I've put in a profile for my fleet to basically turn that off, so it behaves as if it was so it behaves as if it was on Monterey still. But I'm sure at some point, once we get back to doing our secure config stuff, then we'll probably turn that back on for Ventura folks.
It's funny because like it was affecting some people with smart cards.
Oh yeah.
I have not seen it yet. I have yet to see that prompt at all. I don't know if maybe I've disabled it because I use smart cards or something, but I have no idea what it is. But it's been interesting because I've yet to see any of those USB prompts. So I'm hoping that when I push it out to my testers on Monday, they don't start seeing that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's always hard, because occasionally we as admins tend to be out leaders because we were doing so much stuff to our primary machine as well as test machines. Because I always have like 3 or 4 things that I'm testing that may not ever make it out to our fleet, but I install it because I want to see how it behaves. So there might be something I might have something conflicting that other people don't see. So.
It's going to be a fun one because we have all the CalDigit docks with Ethernet plugged in, but they also automatically connect to the Wi-Fi. So my guess is that most, or if not all of them, would not even know that they're not on Ethernet. They plug into the dock. They just be on
Yeah,
Wi-Fi.
So I know the new building is mostly Wi-Fi, but you can plug in, and I think most people actually don't. And they use the Wi-Fi almost strictly in the new building. Whereas the old building had, multiple ports for Ethernet, because 10 years ago, that was the thing. Most people plugged in, had desktops. Wi-Fi wasn't as good or as saturated as it is now. So
Yeah.
So-
One other thing I've noticed with docks and transitioning between Wi-Fi and a wired networking is Ventura is even more stubborn about maintaining existing connections over Wi-Fi, even once Ethernet's added.
Oh,
So
so it's defaulting to Wi-Fi. It won't switch over to Ethernet.
yeah,
Like even if you reorder.
Yep.
So
Yeah,
what do you have, do you have to restart and so it picks it up, or?
at the very least, log out and back in to make sure everything, every user space program
Okay.
is forced to
You have to log
reconnect.
out of user space so it can pick up the new service order.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see where that'd be annoying. But as I said, I don't know how annoying it's going to be for our users, since most of them just use Wi-Fi to begin with. So I think, like some of us old heads are probably going to be the ones who want to be wired for the most part.
Yeah. I mean,
prefer it,
I
but-
only noticed it because I was trying to push a, 80 gig file to my Synology and it was crawling.
Mm. So, I know.
We should probably stop recording, by the way, if we're recording still.
Well, I mean, all I was going to say was going to talk about packaging and
Oh, that's fine.
how some packages may need to be repackaged for Ventura. So, yeah, I think.
Why is that, Serge?
Well, it depends on the vendors. Like some vendor packages do stuff to the app bundle, and that may trigger. Ventura is very strict about, or stricter, I should say, about any changes to the app bundle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if like your vendor package has a post-install script where they do most of the heavy lifting, like things like changing permissions or moving files in and out of the app bundle, then that will trigger a quarantine and you'll get a prompt that said that this app is damaged.
Yeah.
That
This
sounds an
this
awful lot
happened.
like WebEx.
Yeah, this happened with our with Big IP. They have
Yeah.
a thing that changes permissions and it breaks the install.
We have the same package, so I had to repackage that. So. 'Cause we were-
You just change, like, what do you do? Just change the script or change? How do you change like, where do you go from changing permissions?
Well, what I ended up doing is splitting up the config package and the vendor package, and I'm just pushing the vendor package as is, and then dropping the config file where it needs to be, so it avoids a lot of that. And
Oh, okay.
And that seems to be working now, but that may not work, and you may not want that for every package.
Did you follow Rich
ultimately-
Troughton's method?
I mean, yeah, ultimately, the real solution is to tell the vendor to actually, use the package format as it was intended. So the package format sets the permissions you want as it's laying it down, and make sure it has all the files you need as it's laying it down, instead of, just dropping a couple of files in a location and then copying them over with the shell script and changing permissions and making other changes like that.
I have a question for the Jamf people that have integrations on the catalog, like we're integrated with Adobe and Microsoft and all of that.
Right.
I'm testing Ventura, but I haven't tested installations or packaging yet. Have
I
you seen any differences?
I'm not using any app installers at the moment, so I haven't
Okay.
seen any issues with that. 'Cause
Yeah,
we're not
yeah.
using it.
Yeah, I can't use them on-prem, so.
So,
Oh, that sucks for you, John. Oh,
but,
yeah, all right. It works great too. Go to cloud, John.
but I think Jamf is doing some repackaging, but I don't know what they're doing specifically. So that would be,
Okay.
you're just gonna have to test and figure it out.
Yeah.
and see what happens. But you know, if it's not working, I think, well, I think if it was something coming up, if people were doing the regular installs with the app installs with beta, Jamf may already have some cases open with that if it was an issue, but you know, I haven't heard of anything. But
I gotta
hopefully,
say,
hopefully
yeah,
they
it
have.
works. It works great in Monterey. I mean, it's probably one of the best things I've seen my JSS do. I mean, it's really, really quick and really easy. So hopefully Ventura doesn't break it.
Right. Again, you're gonna have to test. to
Gonna
find
have
out.
to test. Okay.
All right.
I
is
could
there
also
anything else?
say on the packaging, going back to
Yeah.
my colleague Rich, he we did find for certain other kinds of packages, if you for example are bundling together an Intel specific and an Apple Silicon specific package as a payload that gets run by a script of a parent package,
Right.
and you've signed and notarized that parent package yourself, you may have problems in that kind of situation as well.
So,
There's been some,
like it doesn't like wrapped packages that are signed with a
Yeah.
different developer
yes,
ID than.
yeah.
Oh, no. I'm gonna have to go back
Right.
and look at my stuff.
So,
It-
so
it-
is the
Yeah,
solution there?
at least test those.
Yeah, is the solution there to not sign the wrap package?
I'm trying to remember what we ended up doing. I think that might have been it.
Okay.
No signing, no problem. Got it. No kidding.
I mean, probably not. I mean, in the long run, it's probably not ideal, but it's a
No.
short fix. Yeah. But yeah, I guess we'll see.
But that's just another kind of thing. If you have, any sort of like mixed signing and notarization for packages between what you're doing internally and vendor
Yeah.
packages, that's another thing to test.
Ventura doesn't like the mixing and matching, right?
Potentially, yes.
I listened to the Mac Admin Foundation podcast that
Mhm.
had Rich on it. First of all, did you guys, Rich lost 60 pounds?
Wow.
I mean, I didn't see him
Awesome.
because I was listening. I didn't see him. I was just listening to the podcast. But I don't know if he was sick. I hope he wasn't sick. But he was like, yeah, I'm here and I'm in the
Yeah.
podcast. I'm 60 pounds lighter.
He looked pretty good at JDoc. So
I have a quick about Adobe. And
You're
breaking
But
up.
I'm just
pretty
wondering-
bad, Dave.
like I said just now, we're integrated with Chat. Oh no, I'm on the train. That's why.
Yeah,
All right, if I'm breaking up, I'll ask later.
you're clear right now, but I'm just letting you know you were breaking up.
You're on
Am I
NJT.
good now?
I think we.
No, I'm on SEPTA. But I'm gonna go. It's SEPTA. So heading back. I'm about to head into Jefferson Station anyway. So I will listen instead of talk. I'll ask my question on Slack.
That's good. Good to see you, Dave.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm
well,
just listening.
It was still good to see you.
Okay, do we have anything else that we want to talk about that could be talked about on camera?
I just want to say I love you, Apple. Thank you. There you go.
Okay,
We're still recording, right?
we're still recording.
Good cover.
Do you want to?
I can't turn the recording off. That'll be Dennis.
Serge, I made you the host. Does that mean you can turn off the recording?
How does Zoom work? What's a Zoom?
Hit the button, Frank.
What is Zoom?
Oh wait, and also Serge, you're sharing the presentation still. Make sure you go to the very end first.
Is it Matthew Broderick?
Oh, there's more.
Ah, there it is. Billy Penn with his hat on.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we saw that.
We-
I know. I'm glad everybody got it. Anyway, you can close out with that if you need to.
Did you look at ticket prices, man? It was like 700.
My
bucks
friend,
just to-
so my friend got, I'm so mad because
Serge, can you
she-
turn it off?
Yes, I'm.
Sorry.
I'm
He did.
doing it
My
now.
friend is not a sports
Good to
fan,
know.
but her boyfriend is a huge sports fan, but she signed up for the World Series lottery and she got picked. And I'm like, you
Nice.
son of a gun. And
$170 a ticket.
Wow.
I think you were bleeped out there. What did you say?
Yeah, she was able to get tickets at normal price, but for some reason my headset dropped.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Jabra.
Yeah, what the hell happened there? It's like it died.